We're recording.
Very good. Will the meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission for Wednesday, September 16th, 2020, please come to order. This evening's meeting will be a virtual planning and zoning meeting via the Zoom platform. Our procedures will be as follows. 1, when you first enter the meeting, you will be in a virtual waiting room until the meeting host admits you. 2, be aware that your camera, if you have one, and your microphone will be muted by the meeting host when you first enter the meeting. You can turn on your camera at any time so you can be seen by others when/if you choose to. In order to run an efficient and orderly meeting in this new virtual environment, unless stated otherwise by the meeting chairman during the meeting host will keep everyone other than the commission members muted. You will still be able to hear everything said by the commission members, even if you are muted and or your camera is not on. There will be the opportunity for public comment during the hearings, at which time public participants will be unmuted. 3, the secretary will read the call of the meeting as published according to Governor Lamont's Executive Order 7B. 4, during the public hearing, the applicant will be invited to present the application, explaining to the commission and others present what is being requested. The meeting host will share all related documents on the screen as needed. In addition, all applications and supporting materials for each application on the agenda are available through the public meeting calendar page of the town's website, www.ci.guilford.ct.us, and also through a direct link on the planning and zoning page. 5, comments of town agencies will be read for each application if there are any. There will be clarifying questions from commissioners. 6, there will then be the opportunity for clarifying questions from the audience. Please raise your hand through the Zoom platform and wait to be called on and unmuted. 7, the applicant will then have the opportunity to address questions or concerns raised by the public or commissioners. 8, once the public hearing is closed, the applicant is free to leave or remain for the balance of the public hearing and the regular meeting, during which the commission will try to reach a decision on each application. Each applicant will be notified in writing as to the decision of this commission and has the right to appeal to Superior Court if desired. 9, decisions of this meeting are available the day after the meeting by calling the Planning and Zoning Department, that's Alan's dog, at 203-453-8039, or by emailing planning.zoning@ci.guilford.ct.us after 9 a.m. 10, all actions taken tonight by the commission will be held by a roll call vote. All commissioners and staff will identify themselves for the record before speaking. Seated this evening are the following members, and I'd ask you to raise your hand and identify yourself. Sean Cosgrove. He's there. Frank DeAndrea. Thank you, Frank. Alan Brown. Thank you, Alan. Scott Edmond.
Hello.
Jamie Stein is an alternate, but she is here as well. Richard Wallace.
Evening.
Thank you, sir. Matt Yurzinski.
Hello.
Hey, Matt. I do not see Bill Freeman. And I am Phil Johnson. Staff present this evening are George Kroll, Town Planner, Aaron Mannix, Zoning Enforcement Officer, and Lisa Piombino, Planning and Zoning Administrative Assistant. This meeting will be recorded via the Zoom platform and made available on the town website for viewing. The secretary will now read the legal notice.
Notice is hereby given that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on September 16th, 2020. Due to the COVID-19 situation, this meeting will be conducted through a web and phone meeting only. Attendees are advised to not go to the regular community center location because a physical meeting will not take place. See below sign-in information for a Zoom meeting. Meeting ID 939-2702-9711, passcode 522628. The following applications will be heard. Town of Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission, zoning amendment to section 273-75Q1 to extend temporary outdoor dining certificates issued under Governor Lamont's Executive Order 7MM through December 31st, 2020. Continued from September 2nd, 2020. Jack and Beth Mariotti, 114 Leeds Island Road, map 21, lot 26A2, zone R5, special permits in coastal area management for the addition of a 3/4 bath to existing detached barn and conversion of space into year-round living and exercise studio. Installation of a 7-foot by 17-foot above-ground swim spa. Barbara and Jeffrey Chupp, 10 Indian Cove, map 10, lot 168, zone R2, coastal area management and special permit per section 273-15G to allow addition to existing single-family dwelling on a lot less than 10,000 square foot in size. Guilford, Texaco, Inc., 2293 Boston Post Road, map 78, lot 25-3, zone TS2, site plan to install a building addition and new septic system. Mark Pender, 67 Golden Hill Drive, map 80, lot 107B, zone R5, special permit for an accessory apartment above an attached 3-car garage. Copies of these applications are available for inspection on the town's website, www.ci.guilford.ct.us. At this hearing, persons may attend either by phone or web connection and shall be heard. Pursuant to Governor Lamont's Executive Order 7B, any materials relevant to matters on the agenda, including but not limited to materials related to specific applications, if applicable, shall be submitted to the agency a minimum of 24 hours prior and posted to the agency's website for public inspection prior to, during, and after the meeting, and any exhibits to be submitted by members of the public shall, to the extent feasible, be submitted to the agency a minimum of 24 hours prior to the meeting and posted to the agency's website for public inspection prior to, during, and after the meeting. All written correspondence shall be submitted to planning.zoning@ci.guilford.ct.us. Documents are available at the Planning and Zoning Office. Dial 203-453-8039 for assistance. In accordance with Governor's Executive Order 7I, this legal notice is being published on the Town of Guilford website, www.ci.guilford.ct.us. Dated at Guilford, Connecticut, this 4th day of September 2020. Phil Johnson, Chairman.
Thank you very much. I'd like someone to make a quick motion. I would like to move to the first item on our agenda, what is currently listed as item 4, deliberation of public hearings. Greg Monroe, 111 Whitfield Street, map 32, lot 102, zone R1, CAM, request for zone boundary change from R1 to C1. Would someone like to make that motion?
So moved.
Motion.
Thank you. Quick roll call vote. Sean Cosgrove,
Aye.
Frank DeAndrea,
Yes.
Alan Brown,
Yes.
Scott Edmund,
Yes.
Jamie's an alternate, Richard Wallace,
Yes.
Matt Yurzinski,
Yes.
and I will also vote yes. So when we last left off with this, there was some question as to whether or not the clarity on the wording with respect for what we were trying to do was not what it should be, and we wanted to make sure that it was done correctly. So we delayed it until this meeting. So I will propose a motion. Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission deny a zone boundary change from R1 to C1 as shown on area location map for the proposed zone change, property of Whitfield and Goosom LLC, prepared by Anderson Engineering and Surveying Associates, dated January 14th, 2020. This boundary change is denied based on a finding that it is not in conformance with the Plan of Conservation and Development. While the commission finds that the proposed increase in residential development may be desirable, the C1 zone allows commercial use, which may not be compatible with surrounding residential uses. Someone like to second that?
Second.
Good. We've all had 2 weeks to think about it. I know I was fairly clear in terms of my feelings on the application and the proposed change. Do any of the commissioners wish to comment with respect to the motion? Discussion items?
I will only say that the fact that the law allows for a change to the plans after the zoning change is made. Pause. And I think that's significant enough to deny this request.
Okay. Any other discussion? Without further discussion and without further comment, I will call the vote. Sean, so this is a motion to deny the zone change from R1 to C1. Sean Cosgrove,
I vote to deny.
Frank DeAndrea,
Yes.
to deny, yes, thank you. Alan Brown,
Deny.
thank you. Scott Edmund,
Yes.
thank you. Richard Wallace,
Yes.
Matt Yurzinski,
Yes.
and I will also vote to not allow this change from R1 to C1. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies and people in attendance. With that behind us, we will move to our first public hearing. Michael Marinis, 595 Mulberry Point Road, map 16, lot 48, zone R5, coastal area management for installation of an at-grade wood patio. Is Mr. Marinis here, and can you help us understand the application?
Hi, speaking. Can you hear me okay?
A little low, Michael.
Trying to find him.
He's here.
Yep. Okay, Michael, go ahead.
Okay, the application is for a wood patio on our property at 595 Mulberry Point Road, Guilford. It's a small wood deck, and I understand that because it's in the coastal zone, that a permit is necessary.
That's correct.
Okay.
This is a picture of the
Shows
GIS map.
shows the plan in the application.
Correct. To clarify, from a zoning standpoint, the structure is less than 2 feet above grade and has no railings and would not necessarily be considered a structure as far as zoning setbacks from property lines. However, because this on-grade wood patio is within 100 feet of a coastal resource, it is subject to a CAM application. And this is the result of the property owners were unaware of the permit process, and this deck has already been constructed. So this is an after the fact.
Cleaning up the paperwork. Got it.
Okay.
Good. We have a couple of letters. Alan, do you want to grab Dennis Johnson? This could have been maybe Dennis's last letter, huh?
Maybe tonight, maybe this meeting.
Oh, no, all right.
Can't seem to get rid of him. Poor guy.
Alan, you want to grab that one?
I gotta go through and find it. I
All
better
right.
wish.
It's a
Oh, okay, I got it. Planning and Zoning, Dennis Johnson, Director of Health, September 16, 2020. Michael Moranis on 595 Mulberry Point, map 16, lot 48. The application proposed that a wood grade patio will not interfere with the operation or location of the septic system currently existing on the site.
Thank you very much. Scott, there's one from Kevin McGee. You want to grab that one quick?
Sure. Dated September 1st, 2020 to the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission for Kevin McGee, Environmental Planner. The applicant has installed an at-grade 12-foot by 18-foot wood patio adjacent to the beach. The coastal resource policies applicable for the property are coastal hazard area, rocky shorefront, coastal waters, intertidal flats, and shellfish concentration areas. The construction of the deck had minimal impact on the coastal resources.
Thank you. I don't see any other items that we need to read into the record. Are there any that I'm missing here?
No, this was referred to Department of, to DEEP And there was no comment returned to the commission. They had no comments regarding this.
Any questions from commissioners?
I'm just curious whether Aaron has actually seen this property.
Have I seen the property?
Yeah, have you seen the deck and,
Yes, I went out and documented it based on a written complaint that we received. And issued a notice to the property owner.
and the written complaint was from a neighbor?
It was someone in the, I believe in the Daniel Ave Indian Cove Association area. I can't
And
recall.
is that complaint what prompted this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it was an enforcement action.
Got it.
And basically, this applicant built something without a permit, and someone recognized it and reported it.
That's correct.
Are there any other questions or comments from commissioners? Would someone like to make a motion to close?
I'll make a motion.
Any comments from the public? Phil?
Okay, we can certainly do that.
It is a public hearing, just.
Okay. Okay. Are there any comments or questions from the public with respect to this application? Would anyone like to speak in favor of this application or against it? With no further comments, would someone like to make a motion to close?
I'll make a motion to close.
Thank you very much. I saw Matt as the quick second. I'll call the vote. Sean Cosgrove?
Abstain.
Okay. Frank DeAndrea?
Yes.
Thank you. Alan Brown?
Yes.
Scott Edmond?
Yes.
Richard Wallace?
Yes.
Matt Yurzinski?
Yes.
And I will also close. Next item on our agenda is BW Bishops and Son, 1355 Boston Post Road, map 52, lot 7, zone PV. Special permit request per 273-75Q2A to request outside music associated with Craft Cafe. Keith, did you hear? Hey, Keith.
I am. Good evening, Bill and Commission.
Are there any changes to the application that you would like to share with us, or is it as presented last week?
There's no physical changes to any of the setup and so forth physically as far as site plan. However, I've had discussion with Aaron earlier today. Our family is in agreement that we're not looking for something 7 days a week wide open, and it's the 10 p.m. time when the winery license has to stop serving is what we would like to have for a ending time for the restriction that you put forth, and that 4 days a week that would be basically seasonal during warm weather would be what we would request to be able to do, and have the flexibility to do those any 4 days of the week. If there's something extenuating that came back, that we did something for a week-long type of situation in the future years, then we'd come back to the commission to do a specific request for that, something like that.
Terrific. Thank you very much for entertaining that change correction. As I hope you appreciate, we're always trying to balance the desires of people to maximize what they want to get versus consideration of neighbors and how it might be impactful for them. So reducing, by almost half or 40% the number of days is appreciated, and I think very helpful. Are there any questions from commissioners with respect to the application that's being presented, or what they're seeking?
What days?
It could
What
be
days do you plan on using this?
It could be any of the 4 day, a maximum of 4 days in a week, but it's not restricted with respect to which days.
Oh, then he could use it for the whole weekend, correct?
Yes, that would be only 2 days.
No, I know, I realize it's 4 days, but I'm saying of the 4 days, 2 of them could be on the weekend.
Yes, they could. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? You know, I have confidence that the level of music and the sound carrying off will be respectfully done. And you know, certainly Keith and Sarah, they don't need people complaining. That nobody needs headaches. So any other questions from commissioners? Otherwise, I will open it up to questions from the public.
Well, one of the things that I question is that being able to play music, you're going to have bands, DJs, and other things like that outside. And after 6 o'clock, when things quiet down on the roads, noise carries very heavily. And thinking of the neighbors, I have a question as to whether they want to listen to a band beating drums and making music. And do they want to hear a DJ playing loud music? Because obviously it will be loud music. I find it,
I don't think
that kind of stuff usually is in an enclosed bar room or something like that. It's not in an open area 4 days a week. So thinking of the neighbors, I'm saying, I question, is that a good idea to have?
And I'll just share some of my experiences. You may know I live down toward the end of Whitfield Street, and I think Pa's Place has been doing a nice job in terms of having, you know, amplified music, but it's just acoustic amplified music. And while I can hear it from my backyard, I haven't found it offensive. And I think it's being played at a volume level that people can hear, but that it's not intruding upon, you know, my peaceful enjoyment of my yard. So I'm kind of hopeful that that's kind of a model we're heading toward. But obviously, you know, as Keith knows, he doesn't want to deal with complaints. So it will really be up to
Right.
them.
No, absolutely. We want to be on the positive side for forever.
Great. Yes, Richard.
As I said, I think I said last time, I don't think you're going to have, what do you call it, beer hall sing-alongs and chants and things like that. I used to enjoy the outdoor music at the old stone house down in your neck of the woods.
Mhm.
And that's what I envisioned for this, and that's why I'm swaying my vote.
Got it. Any other comments from commissioners? Otherwise, I will put it out to questions first.
So this is Jamie.
Yes.
Mr. Bishop, is the intention for only evening time? Like after 5 or like that?
No, it could be a mixture. Again, during the summertime, there could be afternoon time periods and, you know, be broken up and have something in the afternoon and possibly something else later in the early evening. It's early, obviously we haven't done this before, so it's new. And we, as I appreciate Phil saying, you know, are very cognizant of having a good reputation and want to maintain that. So, you know, if we have people who don't obey our rules that we set up for the band or the group or whatever it is as far as what the volume control is, they won't be back again. It's as simple as that. So we want to make people happy. We don't have very many close neighbors. Again, as we spoke of last time, the notification process of within 100 feet of our property, there is 600 feet is the nearest residence, but we did have to notify 8 non-family ones that are adjacent to the 52-acre piece, and there is only really one that has any semi-direct view, you know, of that. The rest of them are very well shaded by trees and other things that will help to block the sound.
Terrific.
Thank you, Jim. Does that answer your question?
It does, it does. I was, you know, driving past the site the other day and I noticed that maybe one of the closest neighbors is that there's a kinder care right behind the barn. So I'm as a mom of a toddler who gets fussy when he doesn't nap. I'm just thinking about, you know, daytime music, and I don't even know if they could hear it, but it was just something that came into my mind.
Yeah, I would venture to say, I mean, that is the closest building to where the
Right.
the sound would be in the back of our barn. It would be the back side of the barn projecting out toward the field area as far as how our layout goes right now. And weekends, Saturdays and Sundays are the time that we'd generally be having something in the afternoon, and most of the time that the daycare is not open that hours anyway to upset nap time for toddlers. If we did get an alert about that, then I think we want to be very cooperative, and we've got children in our family and expect what have rested appropriately behaving children when you pick them up at the end of the day or a shift.
Thank you.
There are not.
I'd like to point out that that this music would have to comply with the town's noise ordinance. Unless they obtained an exemption, which you can obtain on a case-by-case basis from the Board of Selectmen, any music or any other noise would have to comply with the noise ordinance, regardless of whether the Planning and Zoning Commission approved this or not.
Thank you. And basically the enforcement action on noise ordinance, just so you know, is someone would call the police then show up with a decibel reader. Is that correct, George? And there's
they have an instrument that they know how to use.
Right. There's a specified level of sound. I'm not going to, one person's music might be another person's noise, but it's a specified level of sound at the edge of the property. So it doesn't necessarily have to be at someone's house, but so just so you're aware of the process.
That's right.
Are there any questions from the public with respect to the application from BW Bishops and Son? Again, if you don't have a camera on, we can't see if you're raising your hand. So you would have to unmute and ask to be.
I don't see anyone.
I don't see anyone. Would anyone like to speak in favor of this application?
Mr. Chairman, I did receive a letter in support of this application today. It was not in time to upload to the town's website. However, I do have it here. If I can share that with the commission. To the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission, I'm writing this letter in support of Bishop's Orchard's request for a special permit for entertainment. The family has always been both committed and respectful of our community, and their actions have proven that over the years. Not only have they been the venue for several smaller gatherings for nonprofit organizations and community events, they have hosted some of the largest in Guilford, if not our region. To my knowledge, there have been no complaints or problems associated with any of those events, large or small. In fact, my family utilized the Little Red Barn in June 2019 for my son's birthday/graduation party, and the Bishop family was fantastic in ensuring that we had what we needed for the event, as well as made sure we met all of their market existing protocols and standards. It was a day/night to remember and without any problems whatsoever. Allowing a special permit for entertainment on the Bishop's Orchard property gives one of Guilford's business jewels a viable, sustainable farm operation that will continue to enhance our community, and their sound judgment will certainly respect the neighbors in proximity to the market, with events ending at 10 p.m. The Bishop's reputation and dedication to Guilford should be considered in this request. For all these reasons, I support the request for a special permit for entertainment by Bishop's Orchards. Michael Isles, 446 Old Whitfield Street.
Terrific. Are there any other individuals that would like to speak in favor of this application? Are there any individuals that would like to speak against this application? With no comments further from the public, would someone like to make a motion to close?
I'll make a motion to close it.
Would someone like to second that?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Sean. Quick roll call vote on motion to close. Sean Cosgrove,
Aye.
Frank DeAndrea,
Yes.
Alan Brown,
Yes.
Scott Edmond,
Yes.
Richard Wallace,
Yes.
Matt Yurzinski.
Yes.
And I will also vote to close. We will act on this evening. Next item on our agenda is Town of Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission zoning amendment to section 273-75Q1 to extend temporary outdoor dining certificates issued under Governor Lamont's Executive Order 7MM through December 31st, continued from our last meeting of 9/2. So basically,
Yep, as we discussed, this is a continuation from our last public hearing or opening at our last meeting. This was an effort made by staff to extend the temporary outdoor dining certificates through the end of this calendar year, in case that the governor's executive order did not extend the outdoor dining beyond the November 9th, 2020 deadline. So it would be an extension of another month and a half, roughly.
So Aaron, what has to be read? Is there any part of this that has to be read in the record?
It's submitted into the record. It's been posted accordingly.
Okay. All right.
I
For purposes of this meeting, I prefer not to have to read it into the record for the meeting, but I'm just curious.
Right. So this section C is the last portion of, so the black text is our current outdoor dining
Right.
regulations. And so we found that it was probably most appropriate to keep this temporary amendment under that particular section, since it covers outdoor dining.
if you want, we can just read it into the record quickly. Any outdoor dining that has not been the subject of zoning enforcement action or nuisance complaint, which is operating with a permit issued pursuant to 2020 Gubernatorial Executive Order 7MM, shall be permitted to operate until December 31st, 2020, provided such extension shall not be interpreted to create any non-conforming right, and further provided that the operation of the outdoor dining between the date of suspension of the state's declared state of emergency and December 31st shall be deemed to be a complete and total waiver of any non-conforming rights under any local, state, or federal legal authority. So basically, we're just extending the right of the outdoor dining, or the permissibility of outdoor dining, from the state's November 10th to the 31st, in case it doesn't get extended further.
It's pretty simple.
Okay. Any questions from commissioners? Yes, Matt.
What if there is a nuisance complaint? It just says
So
only if there's not a nuisance.
Yeah, and that is, so this is, the language was fairly consistent, with a template from the Bar Association Land Use Committee. You're welcome to, I have not received any particular complaints. However, the commission is welcome to strike any text that they're not comfortable with.
You've not received any complaints on any of the outdoor dining?
Not from a zoning standpoint. There have been inquiries with the health director as far as social distancing on some properties. However, that wouldn't necessarily fall under the zoning jurisdiction of the location and the size of these.
My question is, the language says that if there is no nuisance complaint, then they shall be able to operate, but what if there is a nuisance complaint? Then are we able to take enforcement action regarding a nuisance complaint?
And revoke their temporary outdoor dining certificate, yes. That's pretty much what that language means.
Okay.
Yeah, I would hope that we would address whatever the nuisance complaint is and say, you've had this nuisance complaint against you. You need to resolve whatever that issue is and make sure it's not happening again, as opposed to just one and done.
Right. So far, we have been very lucky, and all the restaurants have been most appreciative of the ability to have outdoor dining.
Terrific. Are there any questions from the public with respect to what we're hoping to do with respect to extension of this order?
I have a question. Are restaurants currently, they're still allowed to have indoor dining?
At 50% still. So this is, and who knows, I'm not sure how many of them are going to want to take on, you know, some don't have tents now. So as we get into colder months, they may opt not to do this. You know, there will be limitations from the health code, I think, with sides on the tents and potentially heating. So I'm not really sure how it's going to really play out through the winter months, how many restaurants will take advantage of this.
You can get nice days in November and December.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, never, you know, looking more forward to a mild winter. But
I don't think it's supposed to be though, from what I hear.
yes, Richard.
I noticed a few places have started with those outdoor heaters. I don't know, is public safety going to take any concern about spacing those? And
Right. So tents over a certain square footage and heaters are regulated through both the building code and the fire marshal. And so right now, anybody's outdoor dining setup is approved as is. If the application form did have an area on that to indicate if you were using a tent. If at that time they had to provide fire ratings. If they're changing their outdoor dining proposals, they'll have to come back and amend their permits and provide that information to fire and building for approval.
And another thing the way I understand it, this is totally voluntary. If some of them choose not to even stay outdoors after December 15th, so be it.
Right. Some may just choose to go back to 50% indoors and takeout and not deal. And some have chosen not to do outdoor dining at all. You know, whether it was the added cost of furniture or even bringing back employees at that point. It wasn't necessarily worth it.
Terrific.
So it's.
I don't know. Sorry, I don't know if anybody knows for sure, but after the governor's executive order expires, then will restaurants be able to operate at full occupancy, indoor
Well,
occupancy?
he'll probably issue another executive order.
It's my, I'm not sure that we're going to get to phase 3. You know, this is all under phase 2. So temporarily, the governor has extended now until mid-November. The emergency order, however, has been extended through February. So potentially there is room to extend beyond November. But as you know, in previous practice, we get right up to close to the deadline before we hear something from the state as far as moving forward. So it's a lot of waiting game, unfortunately. So we started this amendment before we even knew that the governor was going to extend to November. So eventually this could just become a moot point, which the amendment itself would expire at the end of the year. So it's fairly harmless.
Are there any, yes, Keith, would you like to?
If I could just make a brief comment in support, I applaud the staff for bringing this up and bringing it up, more timely, so you've got time to discuss it. But in support of, the many restaurants that we do have in town and trying to make sure that they have a better chance of remaining open through this process that we're in right now, I would support this fully to extend it. There's no harm, and as Darren indicated, there's other enforcement and safety things in place that your commission doesn't need to worry about doing. It's a fire and health code issue that primarily they've got to adapt to anyway. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments in favor or against, or any questions?
I think obviously the state is going to play this along by ear. In other words, as things get better or worse, they'll change things up or down. I don't think we're going to have any definite answers what's going to be happening in February or any other month. It all depends on how
I
this.
agree with you on that one, Alan. No one's got a crystal ball, so.
So I have another question. Regardless of whether we pass this or not, it's still the governor's order, and the state law, in my mind, is supreme to the town law. So
Well-
regardless of whether we do this or not, then businesses should still be able to comply with the governor's executive order anyway.
So, correct. So if the governor's executive order, or say the governor moves to a phase 3, where you could still have full capacity in your restaurant, then most of them are probably going to abandon. Then if he moves to phase 3, then I think the outdoor dining is dissolved, that temporary executive order. What we're doing is, the only other way, we do have the authority locally to extend, or, you know, to amend our regulations to allow for more relaxed outdoor dining as we approved under this order. And as long as we set a deadline, you know, that we don't end up with next season, or, you know, having restaurants choose to have outdoor dining in parking spaces on neighboring properties, things like that. The executive order was pretty broad, where it allowed restaurants to operate with outdoor dining. And some of them are fairly rough, as you see driving through town. They're not, they are in parking spaces. There may be bollards in front of them. Not your typical designated outdoor dining that you would approve by special permit. So this doesn't, those that were approved by special permit, those will be able to remain as per their previous approvals. It's just these temporary, which is probably about 20 restaurants in town now. So, and even at 50%, excuse me, even at 100%, we're seeing that the restaurants, they may not get that full capacity. So they may choose to keep their inside at 50 and another outside. Some of them, like I said, they're not even having indoor seating. They're just doing outdoor at this point, because they found that, you know, customers were a little more comfortable being outside at this point rather than inside. So I agree that ultimately, if the governor extends this, then, you know, this regulation won't matter.
No harm, no foul. So,
Does that answer your question, Matt?
Thank you.
are there any other comments from the public?
Rich had a comment, so.
Yes, Rich?
I think it's I mean, moot point or not, I just think it's a good signal that we're giving to the business community that we feel, and we're going to try to do something what we can do.
Great. Someone like to make a motion to close?
So I motion.
Thank you. Who second?
Second.
Alan.
Thank you very much, Alan. Quick vote. Sean Cosgrove,
Aye.
Frank DeAndrea,
Yes.
Alan Brown, Scott Edmund,
Yes.
Richard Wallace,
Yes.
Matt Yurzinski.
This is closed, right?
Motion to close.
Yes.
And I will also vote to close.
Yes.
Okay, very good. We'll act on that one tonight as well. Next item is Jack and Beth Mariotti, 114 Leech Island Road, map 21, lot 26A2, zone R5, special permit and coastal area management for an addition of a 3/4 bath to an existing detached barn and conversion of space into year-round living and exercise studio, installation of 7-foot by 17-foot above-ground swim spa. I see the Mariottis are here, so why don't we unmute you and you can share with us what you're planning to do. Welcome. If you could state your name and address for the record. Not that I didn't just read it.
This is Jack and Beth Mariotti, 114 Leech Island Road, Guilford, Connecticut. Our permit has two components. One, we have a barn, 15 by 20 foot approximately barn. We'd like to add a 3/4 bathroom to that. We use it for exercising, and the bathroom will allow us to more fully utilize it after, exercise activity. It's possible we have children. We'd like to have our children come and stay with us over weekends, and we feel this would be a more comfortable capability to be able to have them stay for a day or two. Our house is very small, and The second component is a hot tub swim spa that we would like to position next to our property with a deck surround.
Aaron, help me quickly. Do they need an additional permit or accessory apartment type?
No, so this is a special permit to allow living space in a detached structure.
Okay.
This is only an open room and a bathroom with a shower. So it's not considered an apartment. There is no separate cooking facilities. That would constitute an accessory apartment.
Okay. I just want to make sure that, they're getting what they want, in a single swoop, so to speak.
Yes, we worked from this, from the ground up here, so.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yep.
It checks all the boxes, Aaron. Do we have any letters?
Yep, this is an interior lot on Route 146 on Leeds Island that backs up to the marsh here. There are some inland wetlands, and I believe Kevin McGee will reference that in his memo as well. This application did go before the Inland Wetlands Commission for running underground electric utilities and connecting the proposed bathroom into the existing septic tank. So that was approved at their last meeting. I can go to some of those memos for you.
Alan, you want to grab Dennis's?
Can you put it on the screen? I got 22 sheets here.
Yep. I don't have Dennis's on this one. Hold on one second. I got it.
It's very short. It's very short.
2 sentences.
Yep, I'll have it. 1 second. I apologize. I have too many windows open here.
I can read it right now.
Go for it.
Perfect.
Okay. From Dennis Johnson, Director of Health, September 16th, 2020, Jack and Beth Mariotti, 114 Leeds Island Road, map 21, lot 26A2. The applicant's proposed exercise studio and above ground swim spa will not conflict with the operation or location of septic system currently existing on site, period.
Better late than never here.
There is an extensive letter from the DEP.
Right, right.
Yes.
We're not required by state statute to submit these to the DEP, are we?
This application, no, the state statutes are mandatory referrals to the state for coastal applications for flood and erosion control structures and zoning amendments. Or so
they're mostly concerned with construction.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Sean.
They're mostly concerned with construction practices.
The state?
Well, this.
Are you talking about this particular letter?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I wasn't clear. So as many of you are aware, we've had our deep analyst for several years was Carol Szymanski, and she has retired, and we have been assigned a new analyst. And so these first 2 letters that we've received are for public hearings for tonight's meeting. So they're quite thorough, and I'm not sure if this is the state, as a fairly new analyst or just trying to be extra thorough, in an initial contact with the town here for referrals.
Yeah.
So, yes, that they do request that when they provide comments that we do submit them for the record. So this is the letter. If you'd like to read it.
As opposed to reading this into the record, can we submit this for the record and make sure that the applicant has a copy of that?
That's correct. There were, I think, in a few points here, the state, is hoping for, adequate erosion controls. Let's see. And lastly, now, which can vary from a town level or a local agency approval to the state level. This item number 3, the state is clearly used to nothing, nothing but a professionally prepared plan. And although this site plan is based off of a professional plan, it does lack some of the information that's typically submitted too deep for their permits. And so the analyst has pointed that out and recommended as-builts to be filed on the land records. That has not typically been a policy that we have included as a condition, or the commission has included, I should say. But that is up to you. So Jamie Sidoriak is our analyst here.
Mr. and Mrs. Mariotti, have you received a copy of this?
No, it was sent to an incorrect email, but I did see it on the website.
Great. So if we could ask for your indulgence to make sure that the conditions of the deep are respected, that would be helpful and we can move forward.
Thank you. We will.
Terrific. There is also a letter from our town environmental planner, Kevin McGee. Sean, do you want to take that one?
Sure. From Kevin McGee, environmental planner, coastal area management review. Regarding Jeff and Beth Mariotti, 114 Leeds Island Road, Guilford, Connecticut. Assessor map 21I, lot 26A2. The applicant is proposing to install an addition to an existing shed and install an above ground swim spa. The coastal resource policies applicable for this property are coastal hazard area, inland wetlands, rocky shorefront, coastal waters, and intertidal flats. The construction of the addition and the installation of the swim spa have minimal impact on the coastal resources. The Guilford Inland Wetlands Commission at its September 9th, 2020 meeting approved a regulated activity for 114 Leeds Island Road, map 21, lot 26A2, construct a 6x13 one-story bathroom addition to detached barn. After the fact connection of electric to buildings and sewer line to existing tank is shown on existing building location survey record prepared for Elizabeth McDermott, Station's Head, 114 Leeds Island Road, Guilford, Connecticut, prepared by Thomas A. Stevens and Associates, dated December 15th, 2008, and hand revised August 7th, 2020 with conditions.
Are there any questions from commissioners? No. Are there any questions from the public with respect to this application? Would anybody like to speak in favor of this application? Would anyone like to speak against this application? I think it's pretty straightforward. Thank you for your willingness to comply with the conditions. As you may know, we have a 2-meeting requirement for special permits, which can be waived by a supermajority vote of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Would someone like to make a motion to waive the second public hearing and act on this evening?
I will make the motion to waive the second public hearing.
I'll second that.
Thank you. So I'll do a quick roll call vote on that. Sean Cosgrove. Sean.
Aye.
Thank you, sir. Frank DeAndrea.
Yes.
Alan Brown.
Yes.
Scott Edmund.
Yes.
Richard Wallace.
Yes.
Matt Yurzinski.
Yes.
And I will also vote. With the second public hearing waived, would someone like to make a motion to close?
A motion to close.
Thank you, Matt. And someone like the second?
Second.
Alan, you were first. Good job. Sean Cosgrove.
Aye.
Thank you. Frank DeAndrea.
Yes.
Alan Brown.
Aye. Yes.
Scott Edmund.
Yes.
Richard Wallace,
Yes.
Matt Yurzynski,
Yes.
and I will also vote to close. We will act on your application this evening, hopefully fairly shortly. Next item on our agenda is Barbara and Jeffrey Chupp, 10 Indian Cove Road, map 10, lot 168, zone R2, coastal area management and special permit per section 273-15G to allow addition to existing single-family dwelling on a lot less than 10,000 square feet in size. I see the Chupps are here. Would you like to tell? Hi. Let me unmute you guys.
I think you have to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Okay,
Hi, could you state your name and address for the record, even though I just read it in?
sure. I'm Barbara Chupp,
Jeff Chuck.
10 Indian Cove, Guilford, Connecticut.
Terrific, thanks. Can you tell us about what you want to do and why you want to do it?
Sure. So we were here over a year ago, believe it or not, and we received a special permit from this commission on June 10th to approve the addition of a dormer on the south side of our house and to reconfigure our deck on the sound side. And so we put off our project a little bit after that. And in January of this year, we received a permit to sink our propane tank and to remove the existing 2 tanks that were on the west side of our property. And then in July of this year, July 21st, we finally submitted our stamped plans and received a building permit to begin our project. And as we were reviewing our plans with our builder and each other, we realized there were just a couple of tweaks that we wanted to make before we commenced construction, which we hope to do in the next 2 weeks. And really there are 4 things we're asking for in our special permit and our CAM application as additions to what we have already had approved. And they are to add 2 dormers on the north side of our house, which is the street side, is one request. The second request is that we be permitted to cover a portion of the deck that's already been approved in the southwest corner of our house so that we can create a screened porch on a portion of the deck. The third request is that we move the stairs, the small narrow stairs, a couple of steps from the far west end of the approved deck to roughly a third or halfway over on the deck to make way for the potential screen porch. And the fourth request is that we be permitted on this portion that will become the screen porch to add 1 foot at the end of it. And by our calculation, the additional foot, which is 11 square feet of space, would not add to our overall lot coverage because we lost roughly between 10 and 14 feet when we sunk the propane tank and removed the 2 propane tanks that were on our property. Those are our requests.
Do you have any drawings or anything to that effect that you can share?
Sure. Can I share my screen? Can I share my screen?
I'm not able to allow guests to share the screen, Barb, but I have your survey here. What would you like to start with?
The best thing to use is it's the west elevation.
On your proposed
yeah, it's 3 pages that are all part of one document.
Yep. Let me see here. So your west elevation, let me see if this one works for you.
I mean, you can use that one, but
that'll show you.
We can start with that one. Yeah. So that shows that on the north elevation on the top, that drawing, the ridge at the top has already been approved and is part of our original special permit, that ridge. And so below it, what we'd like to do is put these 2 shed dormers so that we can actually stand up in that space, and also to gain some design detail because that portion of the house is all roof, and only part of the dormers is heated underneath it. I would say about 2/3 of what you're looking at in those dormers is heated space, and a little more than 1/3 is part of our storage area. And then in the bottom, the west elevation, you can see the dormers on the upper left. We labeled them dormer 1 and 2 and what they'll look like from the side.
And this is the deck as well, Barb?
Yes, but
Coming out 1 foot
on
cantilever.
that one doesn't show the proposed. So there's another drawing that we submitted on the west elevation that has 3 pages that are one document.
I have them, but I have to say they've been scanned in sideways, so I'm happy to share them, but it's not going to be easy for you to read.
Okay, well,
apologize,
that one, yes, that shows the proposed roof over the proposed screened porch.
Correct. Here are the dormers that were just discussed.
Right. And then the next page shows, the top one shows the deck area and movement of the stairs from the far west corner over to just under that first set of sliders. Oh, no, yep, there, yep. So before on the previous approval, it was there. It actually takes that part of the deck even farther away from this septic system, which is underneath the septic tank. And then the last one shows the proposed 1 foot extension of that portion of the deck there.
And that will be a screen porch.
Right, right. And that doesn't require any new footings or any new support piles or excavation. What the engineer submitted originally will remain, and that 1 foot will just be an overhang. And our builder submitted a letter to Deep yesterday, to the Deep, and although she submitted a letter to you, she ignored his letter.
And we have that confirmation from your builder here. That there are no additional sonotubes or piers being proposed. It's a 1 foot cantilever.
Correct. There is a letter from the Environmental Protection Agency. Again, a bit verbose, so I'm just going to cherry pick off the comments. Work activities are proposed entirely in FEMA Zone X. Work being conducted could have an impact on adjacent coastal resources if the silt fencing is not properly maintained, particularly during burying of propane tanks. Where silt fencing is shown extending slightly beyond the limits of disturbance in FEMA Zone VE14, erosion protection should be moved closer within the work area in Zone X so as not to present a hazard or present an obstruction in the VE Zone. 2, any and all construction debris and or materials resulting from the proposed activity should be properly disposed of daily outside of the FEMA VE Zone. The third one, again, talks to the plans being submitted and their desire for professional plans. All work should be performed in accordance with related special permit issued by Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission effective 2/21/20, notice of which is recorded at book volume 949, page 586 of Guilford Land Records, and in accordance with the Guilford Building Department permit number 209272 issued 7/21/20. Did you get a copy of that note from Deep? And if you didn't, we can certainly get it to you.
We have a copy of it. I just say that the first, the paragraph about the propane tank is irrelevant because we already did that work. We did that in February pursuant to a permit that was issued in January. And also some of the language in the third paragraph, we've just discussed that our builder has already confirmed some of that, and also we did give measurements that says that we didn't. And the language about the silt fence was already covered in the special permit that your commission issued last year, and our builder's well aware of those requirements. And we obviously will conform to everything that we have to protect the sound.
You know the magic words. We like that. Thank you.
Typically with CAMs as well, I am notified at the time of install of erosion controls, and they're inspected prior to any work.
There's a quick note from Dennis Johnson, Director of Health, dated September 16th, regarding Barbara and Jeffrey Chubb. The applicant's proposed addition will not conflict with the location and operation of the septic system currently existing on site. That's good. It's always good to get those.
We have one from Kevin McGee as well.
Okay. Scott, you want to grab the one from Kevin?
Yep. September 14th, 2020 to Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission from Kevin McGee, Environmental Planner. The applicant is proposing to modify a previous approval to add onto a deck, install dormers, and bury a propane tank. The coastal resource policies applicable for the property are coastal hazard area, rocky shorefront, coastal waters, intertidal flats, and shellfish concentration areas. A portion of the property outside the work area is located in the FEMA Wave Velocity Zone VE EL14. The site plan provides for erosion and sedimentation control measures that are designed to protect the adjacent coastal resources. The work being conducted should have a minor impact on the adjacent coastal resources if the erosion and sedimentation control measures are not properly maintained. In order to make sure that the coastal resources are protected during the construction process, I recommend the following conditions of approval. One, the town of Guilford zoning enforcement officer should be notified to inspect the sedimentation and erosion control measures prior to any site work.
That's it.
And that's it. Barb and Jeff, are you okay with those conditions?
Sure, of course.
Thanks. Appreciate that. I'll throw it back. Are there any questions from commissioners? The only reason we even see this as a special permit is because the lot is less than 10,000 square feet. So it's fully within all of the zoning's height and other restrictions. But for some reason, if a lot is less than 10,000 square feet, we require a special permit. That might or might not get changed in the zoning rewrite. I'm kind of hoping it will be, but right now, these are the conditions that we're presented with. Any questions from commissioners?
Rich?
Yes, Richard. Hold on, you're muted. Hold on.
I had a barking dog, so.
Okay.
Oh, you didn't.
Well, it's your dog.
Not my dog.
Don't make me mute.
Are we seeing this as a two-pronged application, both a CAM and a special permit?
Correct.
Do we check? I see we've already permitted a bunch of work down there. Do we need to go through with the second public hearing, or are we?
That would be my next step after we get through questions and comments. I will entertain a motion to waive the second public hearing. Are there any other questions from commissioners? Are there any questions from the public with respect to the application? Would anyone like to speak in favor of this application? You already got to speak, Bob. I know you're in favor of it. Would anyone like to speak against it? And Barb, if you really want to say something, you're more than welcome to. Okay. With no comments either in favor or against, and no questions from the public, would someone like to make a motion to waive the second public hearing?
So moved.
Thank you. Second from Sean. I'll call a quick roll call vote. Sean Cosgrove.
Aye.
Frank DeAndrea.
Yes.
Alan Brown.
Yes.
Scott Edmund.
Yes.
Richard Wallace.
Yes.
Matt Yurzinski.
Yes.
And I would also like to waive the second public hearing. Would someone like to make a motion to close?
I'll make a motion to close.
Thank you. And second?
Second.
Thank you, Sean. Sean Cosgrove to close.
I so move.
Thank you. Frank DeAndrea,
Yes.
Alan Brown,
Yes.
Scott Edmund,
Yes.
Richard Wallace,
Yes.
Matt Yurzinski,
Yes.
and I will also vote. We will act on your application fairly shortly. Okay? Next one is Guilford Texaco Inc., 2293 Boston Post Road, map 78, lot 25-3, zone TS2, site plan and special permit to install a building addition and new septic system.
Michael
It is-
Harkin is here to represent.
Hello, Michael.
Hello. Good evening, everybody. For the record, my name is Michael Harkin. I'm a professional engineer and principal of Harkin Engineering, located at 78 Wolf Hollow Lane in the town of Killingworth, Connecticut. Again, here tonight on behalf of my client, Guilford Texaco, for their building addition to the rear of their building. So Aaron being the host, if Aaron can put up our project plan set, I can go through it
Revised drawings.
pretty quickly. I know we've been online for a long time, so I'll try to make it real brief. We'll just go through everything.
Let me get you a little bigger here.
Yep, so if you just go to the cover first, Aaron. So again, this is for the Guilford Texaco, located at 2293 Boston Post Road. The land survey of record is Anderson Engineering and Surveying Associates. My firm, Harkin Engineering LLC, is the civil engineer. And you notice that we have a plan state revised 9/14/20, and those are revisions were made for the design review committee as well as the staff comments. So the next sheet in our plan set is the site survey, what's pre-existing now. Guilford Texaco is a service station. They service cars in the upper area. Around back, there's a fenced in area where they take cars from accidents as well as police impound, and they store them back there. They also keep their large wreckers and tow trucks. So if you go to the next sheet, Aaron. So what we're proposing is in the rear of the property, a 50 by 75 foot building addition. And you can see that in the highlighted section where Aaron's pinpointing. Now, what they plan on using in that section is that's just going to be diagnostics. They're not going to be working on any cars back there. So when a car comes into the front of the property, a service tech will get in, drive around to the back, and that area will house all the computers to basically find out what's going on with the car. Once they know what's going on with the car, they'll drive it back up and they'll still do the repairs in the bays up front. There will be no water usage in the proposed addition. If there's a worker, say in the existing building, and he wants to get down to the lower building, there's going to be an internal staircase back there inside the buildings to go back and forth. Currently, in the rear area, it's made up of, crumbled up bituminous asphalt. We will be paving a portion in front of the new area, and that was a recommendation from town staff. So we're not increasing any impervious. In order to do that, we do have an underground detention system we put in for all the roof leaders. That's located in the parking lot. And then whether this addition was happening or not, the existing septic system on the site has failed. So we're proposing to put a new septic system in towards the rear of the property. It's important to note that with that septic system, there isn't really any tree clearing. My client was very, very happy that we're not doing that. He wants to provide the vegetated screen cover through there. He doesn't want trees coming down. He doesn't want vegetation coming down. Reason being is he wants to be a good neighbor with the residents in the rear of the property along that back street there. Right now, I've gone out there a couple times with town staff just to show that no matter what happens with the building addition, you really won't see it from that residential street. The change in grade is about 20 to 30 feet from the street up to the building. So with that being said, we have gone numerous times to town staff. We've had discussions. We've answered a majority of things. Because this is a special permit, town staff is allowed to look at the whole site and not just the building addition itself. So we're doing a lot of things towards the front. Some of the lighting up in the front area does not meet the Guilford requirements with cutoff shields. So we're going to be putting cutoff shields on the existing lighting. There was a lack of landscaping in the front. We met with the design review committee, and Aaron as well had brought that up. So in those 3 islands, we would be planting low cover plantings, basically nothing that's going to grow over 16 to 24 inches. Currently, the handicap space in the front does not meet ADA requirements, so we'll be revising that to meet the requirements. There is a existing gate that separates the front area to the back area where the cameras and stuff. That is going to be repaired. Right now, it's not functional. They're going to be repairing that basically in kind, but they're going to be using black slotted fencing instead of the brown that's there. Pretty much all the fencing in the rear of the site is going to remain basically to lock that site down. There is 2 large floodlights in the rear of the building. Those floodlights are going to be taken out and replaced with code complying lights pursuant to the town of Guilford requirements. The design review committee basically specified out which light brightness we wanted to use. It's basically the lowest that they make back there, just so we're not adding additional light like those floodlights are to any of the surrounding neighbors. So Aaron, if you go down towards the next sheet, that is our septic system repair sheet that was reviewed and approved by Dennis Johnson for that septic repair. And then if you go down to the last sheet, Aaron, those are all our notes. You can see the handicap parking space requirements, the septic system, all the erosion controls that we have, basically shown on the plans. That's basically our plan set in a nutshell. We meet all the requirements as far as setbacks and the bulk standards. The one item that we left off the plan that town staff had basically requested that we do, when that's sidewalks along the Boston Post Road. One of the staff meetings, the town engineer had brought that up. And then we went to design review, and design review didn't want sidewalks. My client and myself do not mind the installation of sidewalks on this project. We just wanted to bring it up to the commission that if the commission did require us to put sidewalks in, we would request that we're allowed to be granted a building permit to install the building back there, and don't make it contingent upon the approval of those sidewalks from the DOT. And the reason for that is right now, DOT is taking a long time for approvals. We could be 4 months away from getting approvals in the sidewalk in the state right of way, which obviously then we can't pour the foundation until next year. And, my client really wants to get going back there on that building, addition. He's got a lot of cars coming in, and he wants to start getting that in as soon as possible. So again, we don't mind putting the sidewalks in. We just don't want it contingent on the DOT permit, which can hold us up from building back there.
Michael, do you have plans that show sidewalk design?
No, if the commission chooses to have us put those sidewalks in, we would just say make it a condition of approval, and we will show those on the plan. It's pretty easy. We have the right of way. There's only about 7 feet in that right of way, so there's only a certain place that we can put it. It's important to note that it's almost right now like a sidewalk to nowhere. If you pull out of the Guilford Texaco, the nearest closest sidewalk, if you go left, is where the rock pile was, the new mall, a couple of 1,000 feet away. And then if you go right, there are a couple sidewalks on the right. The closest one is the Milano Plaza, and that's been in for about 25 years or so. That's the closest one that's gone in since then. But again, we don't mind putting them in. We just don't want to be held to the DOT approval before we can pull a building permit.
Understood.
So with that being said, I'd just like to turn it over to Rob Kohler from Munger Construction. He can go over the building itself. And then, I'd be happy to wrap it up and answer any questions anybody has.
I have one other question for you, Michael.
Sure.
We discussed these yard drains.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Thanks. Where they lead to. So I know during our field visit, we assumed they were roof leaders. Did you get any follow-up as far as, are they dry wells? What's the...
No, they're basically just yard drains that collect the water. And then they're routed towards the back area that's, that discharges basically to grade.
So you don't know an outlet?
No, the outlet is basically a pipe outlet. It flows down that bank.
Here?
Yes.
You're
Yep.
talking about this side?
Yep. We didn't see anything on that side. Honestly, everything is basically pitched towards those drains in the front. And then they enter the drains, they go through the pipe and they go out a discharge PVC pipe towards the back. The side on the right side where the trailer is, more so towards the south, that one is basically sheet flowing. And I did not see any drains over there. There's just basically those two out in front.
Right, okay.
Michael, what's a reasonable amount of time if the commission decided that we'd like to see plans with sidewalks? Would that take you a week, 2 weeks?
Plans with sidewalks, that'll take me an hour tomorrow.
Okay, I didn't want to be onerous in terms of.
Yeah, no, it's a matter of just putting them on it and sending them to Aaron. So, making that a condition is really not a problem for us to do.
Okay.
It's pretty simple. It takes longer to change all the revision dates on the 5 plans than it does to put the sidewalks in.
So I know that they're saying, Mr. Harkins saying that he's okay with the sidewalks and the client is, but why are we looking at sidewalks for an application like this? And once again, yeah, they seem to go to nowhere, and the ones that are out there now are pretty poorly maintained. What would be the reason for us?
Well, I think I'm happy to get, Janice has a memo. So we have a couple of memos that speak to the sidewalk proposal or the recommendation. So I can introduce those first, Frank, and then we can kind of discuss it further after that. Does that work? All right.
Sean, you want to grab the memo from Janice Plasiak?
I'm getting it up right now. Let me see.
It's up on the screen too.
Yeah, it's right here. This is from Janice Plasiak, professional engineer, town engineer, September 14th. Guilford Texaco site plan application 2293 Boston Post Road. I recommend to the commission that sidewalks be included along the frontage of the property in this project, as all projects with frontage on Boston Post Road should include sidewalks. Also, this area was recommended to include sidewalks in the Route 1 West Planning Committee recommendations in 2015.
Thank you.
Why did the design review committee not want the sidewalks?
Yeah, that was something that, we went through the list of items and read, I think there was 7 or 8 that Aaron had listed for us that we went over the design review committee. And we said, yeah, we have no problems putting the sidewalks in. And their response was, you know what, we don't want sidewalks because their lack of green space that they have there now, the grass and everything else, this is just further taking away from that. That was their main reason. There's not a lot of grass, there's not a lot of landscaping, and those sidewalks are just going to take up, more landscaping. Myself and my client is, you know what, if this is going to hold up the project, we'd rather just, spend the $15,000 and put the land, the sidewalks in and not hold it up. The reality is that, you drive by the Milano's one off to the west side of their building, it abruptly ends and it drops 3 feet right at the neighbor's property line. That sidewalk's never going to be extended. And the question is, if everybody's doing a project along Route 1, there's a lot of houses over there. If they put a deck on, are they going to be mandated to put the sidewalk in? I just don't know what triggers the requirement for sidewalks.
Now, let's face it, there is not a lot of pedestrian traffic on Route 1 West. There just is not.
It could be because there's no sidewalks, though.
I think Scott,
Encouraged.
I really think you're dreaming. There has never been.
My question would be: has anybody checked in with I forgot the name of the committee? Is it the Safe Roads Committee or
Safe Streets? We do have a letter from them to read into the record.
Okay.
Yes, you are going to hear from them, Scott. Let me also
Right,
just
and
expand a
Sam,
little bit on the
here,
Route 1 West,
the chair.
which is
as
part
well.
of the Route 1 West plan was adopted by the Planning and Zoning Commission as an amendment to the Plan of Conservation and Development. And the thrust of the plan was to try to encourage a little bit more pedestrian-friendly environment in the commercial area in Route 1 West. And part of the way that that's done is to encourage and/or require sidewalk development. And it's a slow process, especially out there with limited development. But over a long period of time, the same thing happened on the east side of Route 1. Gradually, sidewalks were introduced, and they it became a more robust and integrated pedestrian environment after many years. Those places where it's very difficult to connect one property to another for grade changes, as Mike suggested, as was done on Route 1 East, the town can step in and make some sidewalk improvements to make those connections. So it's a long-term goal that we have.
Thank you. There is a letter here from Kevin McGee, our environmental planner. The applicant is proposing an addition to the rear portion of the building and paving a portion of the rear parking lot. The applicant is utilizing several low impact development best management practices, which include capturing roof water in infiltration galleries and directing parking lot runoff into infiltration trench. The site plans for the project has sedimentation and erosion control procedures that are in compliance with 273-97B subsection 6 of the zoning regulations. In order to make sure the natural resources are protected, I recommend the following conditions of approval. The existing erosion control measures be properly installed, and the Town of Guilford zoning enforcement officer be notified to inspect the sedimentation and erosion control measures prior to any site work. Soil stockpiles should be contained by silt fencing or hay bales. Soil erosion and sedimentation control measures shall be minimized until vegetation is established or suitable material is installed to the satisfaction of the zoning enforcement officer or zoning enforcement. 2, all new exterior lighting should be dark sky friendly. That is again from Kevin McGee, dated September 14th, 2020. Michael, if you don't have a copy of that, we can certainly get it to you.
No, I do have a copy, Mr. Chairman, and all those items that he listed were put on our plans, so we agreed to all of them.
Terrific. That. Do you say that we also have another letter, Aaron? Because I don't.
I do.
That one from Dennis?
You have a letter
I
from
thought
the safe.
Dennis's already? I apologize. I thought we did. There you go.
Dennis Johnson, Director of Health, September 14th. The applicant's proposed building addition will increase the wastewater design flow for the garage and therefore necessitate expansion of the septic system. Soil tests conducted on the applicant's lot on March 9th, 2020 revealed suitable conditions for enlargement of the septic system. An engineered design septic system for expansion and repair of septic system has been approved by the health department. It is recommended that the applicant's proposed addition be approved with the following conditions. 1, septic system serving the garage shall be enlarged to accommodate additional wastewater design flow. Okay, thank you. Didn't see that in my pile. Are there any questions from the commissioners?
I had
We do have the letter.
Yes.
It's fine.
And Sam Garrett's is here as well. I'm not sure if Sam wants to read his letter when it's time, or if you'd just like to have us read it into the record.
Sam, do you want to read your letter in?
Well, I don't know what's most effective. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I mean, we've written a letter from the Safe Streets Committee. If it's better for me to read that, there are also some points that have been raised that I would like to address. So I don't know what the best way to handle this is.
Sure. Well, we'll recognize you. If you could state your name and address for the record and then proceed, we can go from there.
Sure. So I'm Sam Garrett's 290 North River Street. I'm also the chair of the Guilford Safe Streets Task Force. Do you want me to read the letter?
Yes, please.
Okay. So the task force was created by the Board of Selectmen in 2019. A lot of this emerged from some difficulties in trying to get projects ongoing, say the Shoreline Greenway Trail, the Nut Plains Path. And what we want to do is improve the scope and safety of non-motorized transportation options in Guilford. In other words, we want to make it safe for pedestrians and cyclists to trespass through this town. Trespass is probably the wrong word. One of the really important efforts, though, is we're trying to improve connectivity. And that includes residential areas, schools, commercial properties, et cetera. So I understand that this sidewalk that we're discussing is not connected to anything at this moment. But I want to thank Michael and his team for being open to the sidewalks. The reason that these sidewalks don't connect to anything is because the sidewalks were not built in the past. And so we're dealing with a legacy of literally 100 years of putting cars and roads first and not pedestrians and cyclists. So we are advocating for supporting the construction of these sidewalks. We noted in the draft minutes of the Design Review Committee that, again, Michael, you're amenable to it. The committee members declined to require them. There are so many different ways in which the town has tried to put sidewalks first, right? The Route 1 West Corridor project, transportation plan, and now more recently, the Complete Streets resolution. So I think I'm struggling to understand why we continue to talk ourselves out of doing these projects when what you can see is the legacy of not doing them. So, to turn the phrase around, if you build it, they will come. One thing we know for sure is if you don't build it, they will not come. And I think Route 1 West is a really good opportunity for the town to start extending our pedestrian accessibility.
Terrific.
This is the attached resolution, just for your reference, that the Board of Selectmen adopted in March of 2020.
Sam, is there kind of, I'm trying to read through this quickly. Is there a spec of what you would prefer sidewalks to look like that Michael could work off of if he's drawing?
Yeah, if I may, Scott, it's determined by the DOT. All the sidewalks are in their right of way. So what transpires is we have to design to the DOT standards. The DOT standards basically governs where the sidewalks go, what type of material, how wide, how it has to be prepped, all the construction.
Whether there's a line of green between the road and the sidewalk versus whether the sidewalk's right on the road.
Yes, sir. Correct.
Okay.
In this instance, and we know it's going to take some time for them to approve because we only have 7 feet between the property line and the back of the curb. And we have a fire hydrant right in the middle, and we have a telephone pole. So we have a lot of difficult characteristics to work with the DOT. So we just know it's going to take time, and we just don't want that holding up our project. When we're willing to do it, we just don't, just don't want to be stuck behind the 8 ball based on the DOT, and especially with the limited work hours with COVID. So that's basically, the issue right now. So, like I said, if the commission wants them, we'll definitely put them in, and we'll move on from there.
I would recommend that if the commission does want sidewalks, that the applicant should amend his plans to be reviewed by staff and returned for approval from the commission. We have been steering away from conditioning site modifications to site plans, and then not having that as an actual approved plan by the commission. So to keep consistency, I would recommend that.
So I think that the change is so minor that just staff reviewing it, obviously we can't pull a building permit until it's on the plan. So I think a condition of approval for putting a couple lines on the plan and is more appropriate. I guess Aaron and I differ from that.
I told you to put them on. You didn't listen.
I wanted to hear from the commission before I before I did that. Reason being is, take the lot next door. It's a vacant residential building lot. So when this person goes to put their house in, is the town going to say, you know what? Now you got to run 100 feet of sidewalk at $25,000 before you can put your house in? These are the items we just want to bring up. And, there's a lot of residential mixed in with commercial. How are we going to handle that in the future with the sidewalks? If a person puts a deck on their house, are they going to mandate it to put 100 feet of sidewalk in because of that? I'm all for sidewalks. I'm all for, pedestrian bike paths. I would love it. There's just not a comprehensive plan on file that shows what's going to be done. And, I think that's a great thing for Sam, if he's interested and he needs some help on it, I'd be willing to work with him over the winter if he wants to put something together on paper.
Well, I think in addition, the commission is in the process of amending their zoning regulations. And as far as specific requirements of, site improvements or recommendations in particular areas could be incorporated into the rewrite if it's unclear in current regulations. Especially a commercial site that's a special permit use.
Michael,
yes, sir.
Are you comfortable with us basically conditioning the approval to submission of revised plans within 2 business days for review by town staff?
Absolutely.
And hopefully they will be submitted in complete and everyone will be happy. Aaron, are you okay with that? I mean, Michael comes before us a lot. If he kind of crosses us, life will become more difficult.
I haven't crossed you in about 17 years, so I don't plan on it now.
It's a good plan. Aaron, I know it'd be great to have them and have them listed, but I'm not sure how quickly they want to get going on all this.
Right.
So.
I think just as a precaution, we've had instances where some departments have recommended modifications to a plan and they've been listed as a condition. And then it turns out to accommodate those conditions, it bumps something else in the site plan and ends up being a problem in other instances. So having the overall picture and the overall approved plan for a special permit is helpful in that sense, where staff has an opportunity to review it, but staff is not approving this permit. It's the commission that approves this application and this site plan. And so amendments should go through the commission. And that's ultimately,
that's going to be the addition of the sidewalk.
That's up to you. Correct.
Okay. My recommendation is we get the amended plans to Aaron ASAP, but I'm somewhat comfortable with proceeding under Michael's assurances that that's how things will proceed and it will be done so in a timely manner. Any questions from commissioners?
I have another question. Aaron, this seems similar to U-Haul in that there's parking that's very close to the road. Is this similar in terms of being non-conforming technically?
So this was, yes, we did pull the original site plan or special permit approval for Guilford, Texaco, and the original site plan did show the parking was as approved. Currently, they are displaying some vehicles outside of parking spaces, for display along the post road, where the parking spaces are pull-in facing the east. And instead, those vehicles are angled towards the south of the property. But overall, the striping is what was approved from the original permit. Yes.
And Michael, has your client considered moving/removing parking spaces to become more conforming?
He actually looked into that. It just, the traffic flow for those that have gone there, it really doesn't work out. But those cars that Aaron had just mentioned, if they're not in conformance with the original design plan, those, I believe the ones off in the west corner, Aaron, I think you pointed out on our sidewalk, I think he'll be amenable to taking them out. I mean, the whole point is that Aaron and I went back to the original site plan and then tried to bring the whole site into conformance as much as we can. And we picked it apart. Hence, most of the comments that were made aren't even with regards to the building addition. It's to what's existing non-conforming that we're bringing into conformance. So, you know, if those cars had to be shifted, we would shift them. Absolutely. We get them out of there.
Are there any other questions from commissioners? Are there any questions from the public with respect to this application?
I have a question.
Yes. Hi, Peter. Could you say your name and address for the record, please?
Yeah, it's Pete Wilhoit, 55 Brookridge Lane. So I'm the homeowner directly behind Guilford, Texaco. My question is, with the current, where the current, I guess it's a fence line is in the back of the Guilford, Texaco, where they keep the cars where the wreckers pick up and drop off. Is that going to be pushed back towards Brookridge Lane anymore, or is that going to be the existing line? Yeah. And then the septic goes in after that?
Yep, great question. So, and this is why myself and town staff has gone out there numerous times. That fence is staying. That's the holding point. They're not going any further past that. The environmental planner asked that we put a drainage swale back there to collect any runoff at that fence line. And you can see it, I believe it's note 31, Aaron, right there. That drainage swale is in front of that existing fence. We're not touching that existing fence. That existing fence actually has a full line of vegetation on it. You can't even see the fence. It's overgrown with vegetation. We want to leave that there. We did have a break in the fence to get down to do the soil testing. We'll use that same break to be able to, you know, basically put the septic system in. We will not be coming off of your street to install the septic system. This site that we're talking about actually doesn't have frontage on Brookline. There's a small area which Aaron's basically arrow is going over. That parcel belongs to the Guilford Temple Association. So we don't even have any legal rights to cross that to get to that street to be able to work on it. You know, and the reason the septic is going where the septic is because we don't have to take any large trees down. You know, right now it's inside there, it's basically all overgrown grass. We'll be stripping that grass and putting the septic in and putting fill. And the environmental planner required that we put a meadow mix there so we don't even have to mow it so the grass will grow tall. So, you know, to answer your question is, the basis of your question is we're not trying to take down any vegetation. We don't want you to be able to see Guilford, Texaco. You know, they're trying to be good neighbors. Hence, they didn't even want to put any lighting back there. And by building code, we have to put a little bit, but we're putting the bare minimum just so we're not, you know, illuminating everybody out.
That help, Pete? Thank you.
Okay. We have one other, Kevin.
Hi, everybody. This is Kevin Charbonneau from 82 Brookridge Lane. Interesting, a lot of the comments around lighting and making those in conformance. That's one of the concerns that I have is in regards to the lighting that we have right now. There's a pretty significant amount of light pollution that we get that really overspills onto Brookridge Lane and particularly on my property. So I'm happy to hear that you're going to be addressing that. On the back side of the property that sort of faces the Brookridge side, I know that you had mentioned light canopies on the front side, and I'm hoping that you might be able to do something on the back side as well to try to better contain the light to the property. I totally understand why the lights are there for security purposes and that there's work that happens there late at night with cars coming in. And I'm not against the light, but I am hoping that there's something that can be done to really minimize the impact on the neighbors that are on that back side.
Yep. So to answer your question, I think you're going to see a tremendous difference between the amount of lighting. Right now, those are old antiquated floodlights that just beam. It's almost like a football stadium type of light. What we're doing is we're replacing them, and we submitted the cut sheets to the town with softening lights that actually, instead of going towards the night sky, they basically face downwards. It's a halogen light that gives off not a brightest light, but it basically takes the light and has no spill off the site. It basically only illuminates the ground below it.
Does that answer your question, Kevin?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I, got from your initial comments that that's what your plan was. But again, I'm just hoping that you can do everything you possibly can to kind of minimize that light from, spilling into the neighborhood. So I appreciate everything that you're doing.
Thank you for your comment. Does anyone else have any questions that they would like to ask the applicant?
Well, I actually have a question.
Yes.
Jamie. Michael, can you tell me how close, if a sidewalk were to be installed, how close it would get to that bus stop?
To the bus stop? Off
Is
the
it
top of my
helpful?
head, I was trying to think off the top of my head. It's got to be 4,000 feet. I mean, it's far. You have to take a left, go all the way down by the farm, keep going down.
No, but there's one right at the intersection of Route 1 and Brook Ridge Lane. I think
there's
you
a bus stop
referred to
right there.
Oh, that bus stop. I thought you meant the one
I know
by
what you're
the
saying.
rock
Yeah,
pile.
you're
Yeah.
talking about the one down by the rock pile.
If you give me 2 seconds and let me turn my back, I can tell you exactly how.
Okay.
It looks from Google.
Approximately
it looks like
200, approximately 200, about 150 to 200 feet.
Okay.
It looks like the bus stop is like smack in the middle of the
Of that
Temple
residential
Association's land.
property, yeah. I mean, I just feel like, we offer no amenities to people taking the bus. So if that sidewalk could get close and offer some, some space there to wait for the bus, that would be ideal.
Great. Are there any other questions? Would anyone like to speak in favor of this application? Hey, Sam, speak up.
I speak in favor of this application with the amendments to include sidewalks as described previously.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak in favor of this application? Keith, hold on, you're muted. Unmute.
Thank you, Phil. Yes, I would support the application, and it's great to see Jimmy and his family trying to get better compliance and have the site be better looking, and as well as meet their objectives of handling the volume that they do. So I'm in favor of it as presented, and appreciate his outreach on the sidewalks piece of it. Thank you.
Terrific. Would anyone else like to speak in favor of this application? Would anyone like to object or speak against this application? I personally am comfortable with waiving the second public hearing on this site plan. Would someone like to make a motion to do that?
I move.
Thank you. Someone like to second that?
Second.
Thank you, Richard. I'll call the vote on waiving the second public hearing. Sean Cosgrove? Sean, would you be in favor of waiving this?
Yes.
Thank you,
Yes.
sir. Frank DeAndrea?
Yes.
Alan Brown? Alan? Alan's muted.
Oh, am I muted?
You were, not anymore.
All right,
Can we
yes.
waive this? Thank you, sir. Scott Edmond?
Yes.
Richard Wallace?
Yes.
Matt Yurzinski?
Yes.
And I will also vote to waive the second public hearing. With no further questions or comments, would someone like to make a motion to close?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Very good. To close, Sean Cosgrove,
Yes.
Frank DeAndrea,
Yes, sir.
Alan Brown,
Yes.
Scott Edmond, Richard Wallace,
Yes.
Matt Yurzinski,
Yes.
and I will also vote to close. We will act on this item this evening. Last item on our agenda, well, that's not true. Last item of public hearing, Mark Pender, 67 Golden Hill Drive, map 80, lot 107B, zone R5, special permit for an accessory apartment above an attached 3-car garage. Is Mr. Pender here, and would you like to tell us what you want to do?
I do not see Mr. Pender here this evening.
I think he left. He was here earlier.
Did you see him?
I could have swore I saw that name.
I did
Well,
not. So unfortunately, I would like Mr. Pender the ability to present to the commission. So in his absence, I would recommend a motion to continue the public hearing to our October 7th meeting.
Would someone like to make a motion to continue this to our October 7th meeting?
I so move.
Thank you. Someone else?
I'll second.
Thank you very much. Motion to continue to the 7th of October. Sean Cosgrove,
Yes.
Frank DeAndrea,
Yes.
Alan Brown,
Yes.
Scott Edmund,
Yes.
Richard Wallace,
Yes.
Matt Yurzinski.
No.
No, okay. And I will vote yes. Lisa, if you could make that the first item on our agenda for public hearings on the next one, maybe we can be a little more fair and have them be first as opposed to last. Let's see. Let's go to deliberation of our public hearings and various items. Would someone like to make a motion with respect to the application of Michael Marinis?
I'll do that, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a coastal area management application for Michael Moranis at 595 Mulberry Point Road, map 16, lot 48, for installation of an at-grade wood patio as shown on application dated 7/6/20. The application is approved on the following conditions. I don't think we put those of Kevin McGee.
No, there were no conditions.
I didn't think we did, but the application is approved based upon a finding that it conforms with the zoning code and is consistent with the coastal area management policies of the state of Connecticut.
Second.
Pretty good. Discussion. I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward. I'll call the vote. All in favor, Sean Cosgrove,
Aye.
Frank DeAndrea,
Yes.
Alan Brown,
Yes.
Scott Edmund,
Yes.
Richard Wallace,
Yes.
Matt Yurzinski,
Yes.
and I will also vote to approve that. So, very good. Next item is B.W. Bishop. This is for music. There's an additional item we want to add to this motion. Scott, you want to grab this motion?
Yes. Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a special permit application for B.W. Bishop and Son at 1355 Boston Post Road, map 52, lot 7, for outside music associated with Craft Cafe permit as shown on application dated 8/18/20. This application is approved with the following conditions. 1, that no music is permitted after 10 p.m. 2, that they're only allowed 4 days per week.
Good.
I believe that's all the stipulations.
Damn it.
Application is approved based upon the finding that the proposed music will have no adverse impact on adjoining residences. The special permit is effective on September 11th. That seems incorrect. What day is this going to be effective, Aaron?
It's the 25th. I think
September
that's next
25th,
Thursday.
2020, and upon filing with the town clerk.
Thank you very much. We have a motion. Would someone like to second that?
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. Discussion? I mean, I think that I'm hopeful that this will be a fine addition to the town and we'll be able to enjoy a nice craft beer and some enjoyable music. So any questions or comments or concerns from commissioners before we call a vote? With no questions or concerns raised, I'll call the vote. Sean Cosgrove?
Yes.
Thank you. Frank DeAndrea?
Yes.
Alan Brown?
Muted.
Muted.
I had to mute. Okay, there you go, Alan.
Oh, hold on.
Try again, Alan. Can you unmute again?
Am I in now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a little concerned about the noise.
Right now, we're just at yes or no.
Oh, okay. No.
Okay. Sorry. Scott Edmund.
Yes.
Thank you. Richard Wallace.
Yes.
Matt Yurzinski.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you. And I will also vote yes. The motion passes. Thank you very much. Next item is
Outdoor dining.
outdoor dining. Richard, you want to grab that motion?
Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a zoning amendment to section 273-75Q1 to extend temporary outdoor dining certificates issued under Governor Lamont's Executive Order 7MM through December 31st, 2020. This amendment is approved based upon a finding that it is consistent with the governor's executive order regarding the COVID pandemic, Order 7MM, and is effective on September 25th, 2020.
Very good.
I'll
Make a
second.
motion. Someone to second that?
I will.
Thank you, Scott. Any comments or questions? I mean, we might be being a little redundant with respect to this because it will probably be extended by the state, but better to not run right up to the deadline and have people worrying about it. Any other comments? No?
Yeah, I just think that it's pointless, pretty much. You know, if the state wants to do what it wants to do, that's one thing. But I don't think that, I think the town should maintain its own integrity, basically. And I know we want to help businesses and everything, but I just think, like you said, Phil, it's a little redundant. And
I don't think it does any harm. So, but I hear you. With that said, I'll call the vote. Sean Cosgrove,
Yes.
Frank DeAndrea,
Yes.
Alan Brown,
Yes.
Scott Edmund,
Yes.
Richard Wallace,
Yes.
Matt Yurzinski.
no.
I will vote yes. So we will extend the outdoor dining ordinances. Jack and Beth Mariotti. Let's see. That one. There we go. We haven't heard from Jamie. How about you read this one?
Well, Jamie is an alternate.
Can she make a motion? She can't
Phil,
make it.
I can read it, Phil.
Sorry, Jamie.
Thanks, though, Phil. I appreciate it.
You want me to read it?
Yes, please.
Okay. Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a special permit and coastal area management application for Jack and Beth Mariotti at 114 Leeds Island Road, map 21, lot 26A2, as shown on an application dated July 24th, 2020, and quote, an existing building location survey record prepared for Elizabeth McDermott, dated 12/15/08, revised to August 7th, 2020. The application is approved with the following conditions. The application is approved based on a finding that it conforms with the zoning code and is consistent with the coastal management policies of the state of Connecticut. The special permit is effective on September 25th, 2020, and upon filing with the town clerk.
Thank you. We have a motion. Would someone like to second that?
Second.
Thank you very much. Discussion. I mean, I think we've gone through this, checked the boxes.
Staff would recommend adding the erosion control conditions from Kevin McGee's memo.
If we could add the erosion control measures to this motion, that would be great. Someone like to second that?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Any concerns? No? Okay. I'll call the vote. Sean Cosgrove,
Yes.
Frank DeAndrea,
Yes.
Alan Brown,
Yes.
Scott Edmund,
Yes.
Richard Wallace,
Yes.
Matt Yurzinski,
Yes.
and I will also vote to approve it. Have fun with the new exercise studio. That should be fun. Let's see. Next is the Chups, I believe, right?
Yes.
I'll make a motion voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a special permit and coastal management application for Barbara and Jeffrey Chupp at 10 Indian Cove Road, map 10, lot 168, for an addition to a single-family dwelling as shown on proposed zoning location survey of 10 Indian Cove Road, dated June 11th, 2018 by Gessick and Associates. Chupp residence, 5 sheets prepared by Point One Architects dated April 9th, 2019. Aaron, I assume that the new drawings that were proposed should be.
I would incorporate all application materials. Yep,
Yeah.
the amended materials as well.
Are there erosion control conditions as well?
Yes.
I also want to add as
Any conditions, from the existing special permit.
Right.
Could carry as well.
This application is approved based upon a finding that it conforms with the zoning code and is consistent with the coastal management policies of the state of Connecticut. The special permit is effective on September 25th, 2020, upon filing with the town clerk.
Thank you, Scott. Would someone like to second that?
I'll second that.
Thank you very much. Discussion, concerns? I mean, it's really just a design change on the house as well as a porch thing. So I'm comfortable with this. If anybody isn't, feel free to speak up or vote in that capacity.
Just have one question, Phil.
Mhm.
If I remember correctly, the propane issue has been done and the digging and all the silt fence is finished there?
I do believe that the 2 propane tanks were removed and 1 underground tank has been installed. Is that correct, Aaron?
That's correct.
Okay, so then.
The messy part seems to have been completed already, which is good. Now we won't have to worry about the mess going forward. I'll call a vote. All in favor of approving this application? Sean Cosgrove,
Yes.
Frank DeAndrea,
Yay.
Alan Brown,
Yes.
Scott Edmund,
Yes.
Richard Wallace,
Yes.
Matt Yurzinski,
Yes.
and I too shall vote for the Chubb's renovation and design plan. See you, Barb. See you, Jeff. Have fun. Next item.
Take care.
Is Guilford, Texaco.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
That the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a special permit and site plan application for Guilford Texaco Inc., 2293 Boston Post Road, map 78, lot 25-3 for a building addition and septic system as shown on Guilford Texaco, dated July 21st, 2020, revised 9/14/20, prepared by Harkin Engineering and Anderson Engineering and Surveying Associates. This application is approved with the following conditions. 1, that the plan be revised to include a sidewalk as recommended by the town engineer. Are there any other conditions that we
I
talked?
think, well, we should probably say that the plan be revised to include by the town engineer and submitted within 2 business days. Michael seemed to think that that was very doable. The other condition I think he asked for was that we not hold up a building permit on approval from the
On the DOT.
DOT. Is that correct, Aaron?
That was a request. Yes. Typically, an approved plan is an approved plan. All of the site improvements are to be installed prior to CO.
But the main thing that Michael had pointed out was that any sidewalk has to be approved by the DOT.
Correct.
So they could begin improvements before they began work on a sidewalk.
Correct.
Okay.
They can't begin any work within the state right of way until they have permits.
So I would add that we will not hold up a building permit subject to approval of the DOT sidewalk review.
Right.
Any other conditions? Are there sedimentation control?
There were 2 conditions on Kevin's memo about the lighting being dark sky friendly and the erosion controls.
Yep.
If we could add those to the motion, that would be appreciated. You want to finish up?
This application is approved based on a finding that it conforms with the zoning code. Special permit is effective on September 25th, 2020, and upon filing with the town clerk.
Thank you. We have a motion. Someone like to second it?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. I'll open up by saying, look, I do appreciate that this is a section of sidewalk and it's not contiguous, but you know, you can't start building a sidewalk till you have the first section of sidewalk. So I think on a going forward basis, there's a lot of commercial development running up that road, and that, you know, I think it would be great if we could, you know, get the ball rolling with these things on a going forward basis, where it really does help with safety and pedestrian increased use.
Yeah, I'll just make one comment. I just think that any really, you know, uniform plan for safe streets has to incorporate bike and walking. So, you know, to the extent that a sidewalk could impede on the roadway to, you know,
Yeah, I'm
prevent.
not sure it does, because I think
That's all I'm saying.
I think there's like a 7-foot distance between the road and the right of way. So I suspect what's the sidewalk, 4 feet wide, 5 feet wide?
5 feet wide.
Yeah. So thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, let me point out, Bill,
Yes.
one of the things, maybe partly in answer to that question, is that the Safe Streets Committee is in the process of retaining a consultant who's got, they have a budget, a substantial budget, to prepare a Safe Streets plan, for lack of a better word, which will include, I'm sure, a comprehensive sidewalk plan. So partly, I think part of the issue that you raised, Sean, is going to be addressed by the committee as they proceed with the development plan.
Okay, thank you. I would assume it would, but I just wanted to make that.
Thank you. I agree. I mean, it'd be nice to have a comprehensive plan that we can follow with respect to the development of an orderly pedestrian system. Any other comments or questions from the commissioners? With that being said, I'll call the vote. Sean Cosgrove?
Yes.
Frank DeAndrea?
Yes.
Alan Brown?
Yes.
Scott Edmund?
Yes.
Richard Wallace?
Yes.
Matt Yurzinski?
Yes.
And I will also vote in favor of this. Thank you. Who do we got
All right,
next?
thank you, guys.
We don't have to deal with Pender.
Take care.
Take care. Aaron, just to let you know, I made those revisions as we were talking, so I'll have those plans to you tomorrow morning. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you, Michael.
Make it easy.
Next time, bring both.
Hey. Yeah, have a great night, guys. Thank you.
All right. We have pending applications, which I don't think we need to go through.
Right, the first 3 have already been received and action. That's just a placeholder. I think we can jump down to new applications. Anderson Brothers.
We have a new application from Anderson Brothers, 223 State Street, map 54, lot 4, zone MU/OS. Special permit for storage of topsoil, aggregate, broken stone, common fill, subsoil, sand and gravel mixture. Receive and set public hearing date for 10/7/20.
Yes, this is an extension, of an existing special permit that has been renewed on a historic basis.
Great. Let's receive and set the public hearing for the Guilford Housing Authority, and then we'll deal with Yale. Guilford Housing Authority, 32 Guilford Court, map 53, lot 18A, zone R1, special permit to replace existing sheds. Receive and set public hearing date for 10/7. Okay.
So moved.
Thank you. All in favor, let's see, Sean Cosgrove?
Yes.
Frank DeAndrea?
Aye.
Alan Brown?
Yes.
Scott Edmund?
Yes.
Richard Wallace?
Yes.
Matt Yurzinski?
Yes.
And I will also vote yes. We did not vote on the Anderson Brothers, so I'll do a quick vote on that. All in favor of receiving and setting a public hearing date for 10/7, Sean Cosgrove?
Yes.
Frank DeAndrea?
Yes.
Alan Brown?
Yes.
Scott Edmund?
Yes.
Richard Wallace?
Yes.
Matt Yurzinski?
Yes.
And I will also vote. Next item, or last item on our thing is for Yale New Haven Hospital, 111 Goose Lane, map 75, lot 13, zone C2, site plan to allow for the placement of 3 temporary office trailers, receiving request action. Who is here to talk to us from Yale?
Hi, this is Todd Hedges, Director of Facilities of Yale New Haven Hospital.
Welcome. Thank you.
for
Sorry
your
about
patience,
the
Todd.
delay.
It's a long one to sit through.
Todd, where do you live?
I live in Higginham.
Okay. Well, I was going to invite you to join our committee, but that's not going to happen now. But please proceed.
So in light of the COVID experience that we had last spring, the soft-sided tent structures for doing COVID testing has been problematic with windstorms, heavy rains, and cold temperatures. We're proposing to use 3, they're high-end finish office trailers that sit flush on the ground to use as COVID testing structures where a vehicle can drive up along parallel to the trailer, and they could be checked in and processed at the first trailer and then drive through between 2 other trailers that have a truss roof over the top of them. This creates a weather shelter, so to speak, from precipitation and provides a safe area for the workers to reside between cars. The plans that I submitted show the traffic pattern through the site. We're going to stay on hard surfaces. We're not going to go on any of the grass. There's no water connections or waste connections required. This is just an temporary electric connection used for the heat pump in each trailer. And the staff that would be occupied and working in this area would utilize the existing bathrooms and facilities within the existing shoreline building. The staging of the cars, it's all done electronically. This is pre-registered COVID testing for asymptomatic patients that would be coming in for surgery the following 2 or 3 days. This is pre-surgery sampling, and it allows the shoreline communities from Branford to Old Saybrook an opportunity to be sampled in this location, centrally located, rather than going to New Haven or Bridgeport for sampling.
Aaron, anything we need to be concerned about? I mean, I assume
No. This is kind of, well, Todd has joined us at our staff meeting and met with representatives from all the land use departments here, including fire and building, who have approved the layout and the materials. And I think, Todd, you did confirm this will not only be for asymptomatic, this could be for individuals who are possible exposures as well, as long as they're asymptomatic, so not just pre-surgery.
Correct.
And as we now have, we can see a need for this asymptomatic testing as schools have reopened and our exposures have increased. So there is a benefit for sure for allowing this temporary setup from a health standpoint. And Todd, there will be some removal of existing landscape island here in the site. The overall time period for this is roughly to next spring. I think we estimated somewhere around May. And upon once this use has concluded, the landscape islands and the parking lot would be reverted back to the originally approved plan.
Correct.
I do have a section, they were broken up to fit on the website, I apologize, but I do have a rendering of what the structures themselves will look like so that the commission can see that as well.
The photo at the bottom of the screen shows a setup that we established at the Strong School in New Haven. This is utilizing a 40-foot long trailer that allows the sampling of 2 cars at once. The trailers for Shoreline Medical Center at 111 Goose Lane will only be 20-foot long, and they'll only process 1 car at a time. So the pre-registration website will only allow 12 registrations per hour, which gives you a 5 to 6 minute window. The processing time for sample collection is about 3 minutes, so there should not be any traffic backup within the parking lot itself.
Will your
Todd,
trailer also be truss like this, similar?
Correct. We have pre-engineered roof trusses that sit on 2x4 framed knee walls. So the structure, the office trailers themselves are not supporting any of the weight of the pre-engineered roof trusses.
Okay. Todd, this is not really relative to the permit, but is this all for patients who are pre-admission for surgery?
No, so the Shoreline Medical Center sees about 12 to 20 surgery cases a day. We anticipate that we'll be able to process 12 to 15 samples an hour. So again, this is contact tracing, asymptomatic testing, sampling for, it could be employment requirements, school, education facilities, people returning from states that are on the no-fly zone.
All right. Good. That's great. Thank you.
Yep. It's anyone that's pre-registered. If you get a order from your physician or doctor to go get sampled or tested, you would come here rather than go to New Haven or Bridgeport.
All right, but you're anticipating anyone who goes there has to have a permission to go there. They can't.
A physician's order.
Correct.
Right.
So if somebody does arrive that does not have orders, they're just going to pass through and they're not going to get sampled. We're trying to control the volume of cars coming up to the site.
Right.
Good.
And no symptomatic patients.
No.
Where do the symptomatic people have to go?
They would go to a medical facility like Yale New Haven Hospital at York Street or Lawrence Memorial, Bridgeport Hospital. They would actually go to one of the main hospitals.
Interesting. What if you're, not that it matters, what if you're just like mildly symptomatic? Like, I lost my sense of smell.
They would direct you, our COVID hotline directs you to one of the main hospitals for that situation.
Okay.
So you got to go to New Haven or Bridgeport.
Going to Bridgeport.
Well, one of our physicians actually lives in Guilford, and he was directed to Greenwich. He was not happy.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
And he was pretty high up too.
So much. Any questions from commissioners? No. Do we have to have a motion to approve a site plan here?
Yes.
I don't see it.
I have one.
If you want to ring that up, that would be good, Richard.
Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a temporary COVID sample collection facility at the Shoreline Medical Facility, 111 Goose Lane, map 75, lot 13, as shown on an application dated September 10th, 2020. The application is approved with the following condition: that this approval expires June 1st, 2021, and the site conditions be restored to the existing conditions by July 1st, 2021, unless an extension is granted by the commission. This application is based upon a finding that it conforms with the zoning code.
Well, I certainly hope to not have to extend this.
Yeah, me too.
But rest assured, we appreciate all that you're doing.
Thank you.
We have a motion. Would someone like to second that?
I'll second that.
Thank you very much. I'll call a vote. Sean Cosgrove?
Yes.
Frank DeAndrea?
Yes.
Alan Brown?
Yes.
Scott Edmund?
Yes.
Richard Wallace?
Yes.
Matt Yurzinski?
I will abstain.
Okay, and I will vote yes. Good luck with your trailer. I hope it all works out terrifically. Thank you for all you're doing.
Thank you.
And you
Appreciate
can
it.
build a garage with those trusses
Thank
after
you,
you're done.
What are you doing with what are you doing with the old tents?
The tents we rented, and they were extremely expensive.
Yeah.
The
We were
trusses,
just
again, when they
talking
come down.
We'll find a home for them. Got it.
Yep.
All right. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thanks.
What do we have left to do? Approve the minutes?
Minutes.
I have had a chance to review the minutes and they appear to be substantially correct. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second.
I think Sean got in there first. I know you got to be quicker.
I beat you, Alan.
You're getting distracted by the dog or something. Sean Cosgrove,
Dog.
Yes.
Frank DeAndrea,
Yes.
Alan Brown,
Yes.
Scott Edmund,
Yes.
Richard Wallace,
Yes.
Matt Yurzinski.
Yes.
And I will also approve. Do we have any bills or anything to approve, Aaron?
No.
Okay. With no further,
The first no I've heard for a while.
I'm tired.
with no further business before the Planning and Zoning Commission, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn? Frank, hold on. Come on, speak up.
Yes.
Frank will make a motion. Who's going to second Frank?
Enthusiasm.
Second.
Okay, by hand vote, which can be recorded by Lisa later. All in favor of adjourning. Have a great night.
Good night.
Buddy.
Take care.
Good job.